This is the Geely EX5, and yeah, it's a neat and tidy midsize SUV. It represents good value for money and absolutely ticks a lot of boxes.
But here's the thing, would you take a gamble on a car from a brand you've barely heard of? Because while Toyota and Mazda have been around longer than your high school group chat, Geely just landed.
Geely is part of this new wave of Chinese brands setting up shop here in Australia. But here's the burning question.
Will Geely even be here in 10 or 15 years' time? Because this is a cutthroat market in Australia, and we've seen brands come and go. Rest in peace, Holden. So, here today, I'm going to deep dive into this vehicle, testing not only the tech and the drive dynamics, but I've also spoken to someone who's actually bought one of these vehicles, and you might be surprised at what they said. Is the Geely EX5 one of 2025's smartest budget EV buys? Or will it be a short-term fling that's going to ghost you when resale hits?
The EX5 is a crucial vehicle for Geely because it's the brand's launch vehicle. It's like Ford's Model T in a way, and it sets the tone for the brand's introduction here. Geely only entered Australia in early 2025, but has been building and selling cars in China since 1997.
Geely was actually founded in 1986, and back then it built ancillary components for appliances like fridges. And then in 1994, it got into motorcycles.
And today, Geely builds more than 3 million cars annually, owns Volvo, Polestar, Lotus, Smart and Proton, and has joint ventures with a few other companies too. But for all that, it's still an unfamiliar brand in Australia.
So I was kind of surprised when I caught up with a colleague recently who bought one of these. And when I asked him why, he said, China no longer equals cheap. And I tend to agree. When you look at cars from the likes of BYD, XPeng and Geely that we're testing here today, the quality is definitely on the rise. And you think about who else makes cars in China these days. Tesla, Kia. These are not cheap and nasty like perhaps they were viewed in the past. My buddy is not a car guy per se, and he has no brand loyalties, which is one of the reasons why he didn't mind jumping on the Geely. He did cross-shop several other Asian brands, including the Hyundai Kona Electric, but ultimately he said the price for this one was very, very compelling. When I asked him if he was worried about Geely's longevity, he shot back, well, now I am. But in all honesty, he said that because Geely owns established brands like Volvo, that was reassuring for him.
It also marries up with a broader trend that's seeing brand loyalty drop. CarSales' own consumer sentiment survey published late last year showed a decline in brand loyalty among Aussie buyers. And increasing sales from brands like BYD are evidence of this trend.
Geely is hoping to replicate these strong sales with very sharp pricing for the EX5 and also rapidly expanding its dealer network. There are two model grades at the moment, the base grade EX5 Complete, which is about $41K, and the $45,000 EX5 Inspire, which is what we're testing today. And Geely says this top spec model will be the more popular vehicle among buyers. This pricing makes it one of the most affordable EVs in its class. And while the BYD Atto 3 Essential is a little bit cheaper, it doesn't have as much gear. In my view, this is a better car.
Geely says it plans to have 100 dealerships in due course. Right now, there are about 22 showrooms nationwide. But the Chinese newcomer is backing the EX5 SUV with a 7-year unlimited kilometre vehicle warranty and an 8-year unlimited kilometre battery warranty is heartening.
If you service the vehicle at a Geely dealership, you will get 7 years complimentary roadside assist, which will be handy, especially if you run out of juice in the middle of nowhere. It'll cover things like a tow truck. And there's also 2 years of car connectivity coverage, thanks to a little 4G SIM card built into the vehicle.
Speaking of servicing, the intervals are far from class leading, although maintenance costs are competitive, especially if you opt for the prepaid plan that costs just under $1,650 over 7 years. That works out to about $230 per service. A quick squiz at the exterior design reveals fairly banal styling. Granted, it's somewhat sporty in SUV terms with its smooth metalwork, sporty rear spoiler and 19-inch alloy wheels. And the LED headlights and taillights are sleek and stylish.
I like how when you approach the vehicle with the key in your pocket, the lights come on, the doors unlock. You don't need like a silly pass card to tap on the mirror like in some Chinese models. And fire and forget, when you walk away, it does the same thing.
But I reckon there's more intriguing designs out there if you're game to jump into something completely new. The Deepal S07 is one example, sharp and edgy, a bit like one of Lady Gaga's get-ups. Geely's first car in Australia is reasonably benign looking, but that could work in its favour, especially among those who want something conservative, whose optics don't yell too loudly.
All right, the powertrain, how does it motivate? Well, there is a single electric motor in the front that delivers fairly zippy acceleration, but in EV terms, it's not going to blow your socks off. As you can see, there's no extra cargo up front. There's no frunk, which is a bit of a shame. It's just a whole bunch of cables and componentry. Don't touch the orange ones. They're high voltage. But even though power output is fairly modest in this EX5, energy consumption is actually very good. We'll get to that later. Interestingly though, I'm whinging about how modest the power output is. In the rain, these front wheels chirp more than a hungry magpie chick. And I don't think it's the tyres. They're Goodyears. They're reasonably reputable tyres. So it might be a traction control thing. And for the record, I'm not a hoon, I swear. The e-motor drives the front wheels through a single speed reduction gear, which basically means there's one gear, one ratio. It just accelerates smoothly from 0 to top speed. And Geely reckons it'll go from 0 to 100 in 7.1 seconds, although if it's damp on the road, make it more like 10.1 seconds.
More importantly than the e-motor is the battery. In this instance, power is drawn from a 60 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion LFP battery pack. The Aegis short blade battery is claimed to deliver 410 kilometers of range, and it comes close. The car is impressively efficient. While the recharging ceiling maxes out at 100 kilowatts on a DC fast charger, although we saw it get a little bit higher than that, most rivals in this space charge at similar rates. Some are even a little bit lower. But given the brand's high-tech standing, I expected a slightly higher value. However, because the battery pack isn't super dense, charging times aren't too shabby.
Like a lot of EVs today, this one doubles as a mobile power charger. You get your vehicle to load cable, which we don't have today. In fact, we don't have any cables today. And disappointingly, they all cost extra for this vehicle. But anyway, you plug in your vehicle to load cable. You've got 3.3 kilowatts to run appliances, anything you'd plug in at home, you know, electric juicer, TV, projector, that runs that, but it gets better. It's got V2L and V2V, that's vehicle to vehicle. And at 6 kilowatts, if your buddy's stranded on the side of the road, you can rock up with this, plug into your mate, and basically save him from the dreaded flat battery death march.
Okay, hopping into the Geely for the first time, one thing that I personally like that not everyone will like, especially if you're coming from a conventional car, is the fact there's no start-stop button. You get in, you put your foot on the brake, you put it in drive, and away you go. And then when you're done, you put it in park, hop out, walk away, and it all locks up. This might not be to everyone's cup of tea, but living with it for a week, it makes the whole process a lot faster and a lot more seamless, getting in and out of the car, living with it. I like that. And overall, the interior is, you know, it leaves a positive impression. All the materials have a high quality feel, and there's a solidity about this vehicle as well. It feels robust. There's definitely a perception that this is a high quality, well-built vehicle. All the moving parts feel really, really good. All the switch gear, everything, it feels highly engineered, and it adds a bit of an upmarket vibe to the cabin as a whole. I quite like that. This manifests in everything from how the switchgear and controls actuate to how the doors thud shut, and the Volvo connections feel genuinely tangible in this respect. Even the air vents and door handles have a premium feel, which is largely unexpected at this price point. The 6-way power-operated seats are heated and cooled, they go nice and low for taller types, which is good, and the passenger seat comes with extra leg support. Pretty neat. The synthetic leather upholstery is really schmick as well, soft and supple and very touchable.
Speaking of touching, this vehicle's massage system goes well beyond the lumbar tweaks that some vehicles offer. There are 8 individual cat paws in the seat back that are really, really quite effective. They work really well. And when you dial up the intensity, it's good stuff. I really enjoyed using it.
Another top shelf feature for the EX5 Inspire model grade is the 1000 watt 16 speaker Fly Me stereo. It's a cracker. Excellent audio quality, thumping bass, and the speakers in the headrests are not just a gimmick. And the headrests are still adjustable. Pretty cool.
There's also a couple of unique modes that you can engage while the car is stationary. The first is relaxation space. Hit this, take a break, hit relax. Okay, that's good to know. So it shuts that, turns on the air conditioning, and you know what? That's not bad. You got a little timer there. You can just stretch out. It's pretty cool. Plus, there's a camping mode as well that basically you would use when the car is stationary. You're out camping. You want to use the power systems in the car. You want to use V2L, stuff like that. And it lets you keep the car switched on until it gets to about 20% battery power. These are not novel, lots of other rivals have them, but they're nice little Easter eggs. I kind of like that these features are in there. It gives the EV a little bit of a point of difference from its traditional combustion engine rivals.
Smaller, less obvious touches like overall cabin ergonomics and the fact there's physical mirror adjustment controls and a few climate controls are good to see, and they show that Geely is catering to a wide range of buyers, not just the tech head demographic.
Geely has also designed this car for germaphobes because this steering wheel apparently has an antibacterial finish on it. So, you know, if you've got a filthy sibling or friend that's driving the car and you know they never wash their hands after the toilet, hopefully this will kill off all the mold and bacteria. Who knows if it works, but interesting idea. Okay, storage solutions, they're not bad overall. You've got a medium-sized center bin here, but there's no amenity, there's no cooling options. And again, for the wireless phone charger, no ventilation or cooling either. So that's a little bit disappointing. And the second one here is not a charger, so you've only got the one. This area here, my daughter actually said it was dumb and didn't use its space effectively, but I don't mind it. I like the clean, uncluttered look. Here you've got two cup holders. They're a bit small. They don't fit my 750ml bottle. I mean, you kind of put it there, but it doesn't slot in properly. But again, I do like that it's concealed. That's nice. Under here though, this is the pièce de résistance. This is where you've got loads of room to throw all sorts of stuff. Plus you've got USB-A, USB-C, and a 12-volt power outlet. Small glove box here. There's no sunglasses holder, and another omission that's a bit annoying is there's no physical controls for the big panoramic sunroof. You've got to do it via the screen, which is a bit annoying and takes a few extra touches. You get used to it, but it'd be nice to have instant access. Finally, we have the door pockets that do fit the 1 litre Mega Gulp with a bit of a shove, and they fit the 750ml bottle as well. So yeah, overall, not too bad.
Both EX5 model grades get this lovely 15.4 inch 2.5K high-def infotainment touchscreen. It's got a powerful processor, which means everything responds quickly, and flicking through menus is almost always a satisfyingly rapid-fire affair.
Well, I'm not sold on the screen-based climate controls, and there's no shortcuts like in the BYD systems. The fact that you do have some physical buttons here for recirculation, auto, that sort of thing, that is a nice touch, as is the CN95 air filter. So the air in here should be nice and clean. You're not going to get all the impurities from the diesel vehicles belching out NOx and whatnot. This particularly flimsy dial that doesn't feel great actually serves double duty. So dial it there, it does volume, hit it again, and it does temperature. So that's kind of nice. In one way, it could be seen as clever engineering, or maybe just laziness. Second dial, maybe? I don't know.
All cars come with 2 years of 4G connectivity, so you can remotely monitor and control the car with your mobile phone. And while the native operating system will be fairly intimidating to anyone who hasn't driven a modern EV, it's one of the better Chinese systems I've used. And I reckon this is where the Volvo connection helps, because even the digital ergonomics are fairly well executed. The inbuilt GPS sat-nav looks basic, but it works well. And most of the menus in this car are reasonably well marked and easy to understand. Plus, there's a good shortcut menu with lots of customization options. There's a lot of detail in this system too, so you can adjust pretty much everything from the car's safety systems to the ambient LED lighting. And there's even a setting that will pulse the lights in time with the music.
But there's a catch. No Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto. Not yet. iPhone support will come mid-year, maybe July 2025, says Geely, and Android support will arrive later that year.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Current owners, early adopters won't be left high and dry because it'll be a free over-the-air update, which is great. But let's face it, waiting for tech that's available in most other new cars is kind of like queuing for dial-up internet in 2025. Some people just aren't that patient.
Apart from those temporary emissions, the Geely EX5 SUV ticks a lot of boxes and represents strong value for money.
You also get a 10.2-inch digital driver's display here that looks fantastic. Super high def, really crisp visuals. But like most Chinese cars these days, there's not a lot of customization and the trip computer is fairly basic. There's not a lot of options there. And another thing, some of the text is so small, I almost need my spectacles to read it. That said, the head-up display is excellent. It's big, it's bold, and it's got everything from the road speed to the cars around you. It works with the sat-nav, gives you directions, so maybe I don't need my spectacles after all.
The reversing camera system is pretty good. It's got a reasonable image clarity and all the usual angles, front, rear, sides, plus there's a good overhead view with centimetre distance proximity, and there's a 3D mode to mess around with too. You get 7 airbags and plenty of safety tech, resulting in a 5-star ANCAP rating. It also helps that Geely has leaned on its Volvo connection to come up with a strong body structure.
Despite this EX5 sitting on the smaller end of the mid-size SUV scale, so think more Mazda CX-5 than say the slightly bigger Nissan X-Trail, there is loads of room back here. It feels really open and airy, and I like that. So I've got plenty of headroom there, even with the giant sunroof in there. I've got lots of legroom. I can get my feet under the seats, and under thigh support is really good. The seating position is great. It's very comfortable. And again, speaking of comfort, the cushions are nice and soft. That pleather upholstery, really, really nice. They've done a good job back here. The seats are slightly contoured, so you can snuggle back into them. Headrests are okay, could be a bit softer. And there is very minor adjustment to the seating position. They go back a little bit more. So yeah, by and large, comfort levels pretty good. This flat floor creates a greater sense of space back here as well. And unlike a conventional SUV where you might have a transmission tunnel, your legs don't feel hemmed in. And I really like that for bigger adults. I think that's going to be a real plus. And there's also good amenity too. You've got USB A and C ports back here, 2 adjustable air vents, seat back pockets, Jesus handles. You've got the LED reading lights, there we go. This thing here is a little Bluetooth microphone, so people in the back can be involved in the phone calls as well. And the windows are really big. You don't feel crammed in. It's not claustrophobic back here, and my 6-year-old son approves. Pop the power operated tailgate and you reveal a nice flat load surface. This is good. It's very easy to load stuff in and out of, but it's not the biggest boot I've measured in the mid-size SUV class. Width is pretty good, but depth is below average for sure. I don't think I'd even get my gut slider in here without folding those rear seats down.
But I like this. A huge plastic tub under the boot floor adds loads of versatility, and the adjustable floor is well thought out and slots in snugly. You also get a couple of bag hooks and a potent LED light.
But amenity is not great. There's no spare tyre, there's no tie-down anchorages, there's no cargo cover, and it's pretty annoying that you have to splurge on this top spec model to get a power-operated tailgate. Okay, so there's a few gripes there. It's not perfect, but the positives far outweigh the negatives, and the same can be said for the way it drives. All right, first things first. Can you hear...
Wait a minute.
...the ice cream melody?
Ice cream truck!
I call it the ice cream melody because it's like an ice cream truck. It's like a little tune, and it plays between 0 and 30 kilometers an hour to alert people outside the car that you're nearby. EVs by law have to make a sound so that people don't get, you know, shocked when they're coming along.
Me, I would do food.
Look, it's effective. It's quite loud when you hear it from outside, but it's super annoying because it plays inside the car as well. I'd prefer just like a solid noise like you get in a, like a Hyundai hybrid or something like that. Because when you're playing music in the car, this little melody, even when it's quiet, it interferes with what you're listening to, and it's just frustrating. And my colleague who has bought one of these, that's one of his pet hates. But good news, I have it on good authority that they're going to have an over-the-air update to remedy this issue. Hopefully it's with a better sound or less sound inside the cabin. That would be nice. Ice cream truck music notwithstanding, and when you first get in the car and first sort of cruise around in it, there is a tangibly premium feel. It's a bit like that upmarket vibe that assails you when you first hop into the vehicle. That translates into the way it drives when you're on the road. It sits really nicely on the road. It's very planted, and the more I drive it, the more I like it.
Try it! You'll like it!
It's very responsive in terms of steering and throttle input, which creates a smooth and sophisticated drive experience. A big part of this is due to the vehicle's relatively light weight, which at under 1,800 kilograms is doing pretty well for an electric vehicle. And the daily grind is an absolute breeze in this thing. On the several occasions I drove this to work on cold, wet, rainy Melbourne mornings to the car sales office, it felt like a little ray of sunshine on wheels. There's something about it. It just feels like a really nicely engineered vehicle. There's one issue though. If you lack impulse control, you'll churn through tyres. Give it the beans turning out of a T-intersection or a corner, and the front wheels will sometimes spin quicker than a DJ's turntable at a nightclub. There are 3 drive modes: Eco, Comfort and Sport, and in Eco mode, throttle response is pretty mild, but in Comfort and Sport, and especially on even damp roads, a quick stab of the throttle will result in wheel spin. It's not the most powerful vehicle ever, but the power delivery and throttle response is very immediate and very sharp. And it's something you do need to be aware of, because the traction control does delay a little bit, doesn't kick in straight away. This could be remedied by being smoother with the throttle. In general, however, it's very pleasant and efficient around town, and it rides surprisingly well. It absorbs everything from cobblestones to little bumps and ructions in the road very easily, and even takes the big hits with genuine finesse. Geely has taken a page out of the Kia and GWM playbooks with a suspension tune calibrated specifically for Australian conditions, and it shows. This local suspension tune pays off brilliantly in built-up areas and in everyday driving, and it doesn't fare quite as well at highway speeds and on country roads, and feels a little bit loosey-goosey. There's a floatiness to the way it deals with bigger undulations, and you get a sense of this over speed bumps too, where it takes a little while to settle at times. While this SUV feels fairly composed and there's not too much body roll through corners, it can feel a little bit unsettled, a little bit wishy-washy when you're navigating bends that aren't on a perfectly smooth surface or do have a few bumps and lumps mid-corner. In terms of energy efficiency, the EX5 is impressive. I didn't get 410 kilometers from a full battery charge, but I came close, meaning the claimed and real-world energy consumption figures almost line up. And get this, purely urban driving saw it drop to 13.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is quite good. The view out of the car is really good. It doesn't feel quite as elevated and jacked up as some other SUVs, but it's got a big slab-sided windscreen, nice big side windows, and overall vision from this car is much better than a lot of its rivals, and especially because of that big rear windscreen. You can actually see quite a lot out of that and some of its rivals. Oof, teeny tiny little letterbox, not good. There's also a small video feed on the screen when you flick on the indicator, which is handy, and the blind spot alert on the side mirrors is subtle but effective. Another piece of the premium puzzle is cabin quietness. This has a generous amount of sound damping materials, keeping outside acoustics where they belong. It really feels as though this SUV has benefited from its European connections with Polestar and Volvo. From the way it drives to the way it feels, this is an impressive unit, and it generates a far more upmarket experience than its price would have you believe. Geely has fixed little things too, like there was this little voice that would be piped through the headrest speakers that would say things like, "Slow down, too fast," constantly. That's been completely eliminated now, which is fantastic. You do get little beeps here and there, but they're quite subtle, and I haven't felt the need to turn half of these systems off like I sometimes do in other vehicles, which shows that they are listening to critical and public feedback, and they're trying to tune this vehicle for Aussie tastes. I think that's really important. And the autonomous driving aids are pretty good too. The lane keeping system doing an above average job, the intelligent cruise control likewise. I also love the 2-spoke Squircle steering wheel. For me, it adds an extra dimension of control, but I know that others absolutely hate it. I do find the steering wheel controls a bit cryptic though. Trial and error sorts them out. You've got audio on the right side, cruise controls on the left. One feature I'm still in two minds about is the speakers in the headrest there. They're brilliant when it's working in tandem with the whole audio system, but when you take a phone call, your caller's voice comes through the headset, and it's a little bit spooky because it's kind of like they're sitting behind you talking. But it's kind of cool too, but I'm not sure. It's spooky, it's cool, yeah. I'm sitting on the fence. If it was my money, I reckon I'd opt for the EX5 Complete. Geely reckons this Inspire model will be more popular, and while the massaging seats, the epic stereo and the massive sunroof are pretty cool, they're things I could live without to save $4,000. That said, the powered tailgate is pretty handy. There's no question this is one of the more impressive Chinese EVs to lob in recent times, with a spacious upmarket cabin, a strong equipment list, and impressive safety credentials.
But is the new EX5 the smartest, best value Chinese EV on the market in 2025, or just a great way to eat a depreciation sandwich? Well, it's kind of both, because while this represents excellent value and it is a very good car, resale values are likely to be painful, at least until this brand is fully established, and who knows how long that could take. So with its sharp pricing, its local suspension calibration, which I reckon over time will improve, and more dealerships popping up, I think Geely is here to stay, and the EX5 is a solid launch vehicle for the brand. Thanks for watching, hope you liked the video, and what do you reckon? Are there any chances of a brand new Chinese brand ever launching in Australia with something that's not an SUV? Have your say in the comments, and thanks for watching.